And we continue learning Dirshu, Mishnah Bura, Hilchos, and Netilas Yaadaim, Siman, Kof, Non, Tas, and we continue with Sif, Yud, Dalid. It says the Mechaber, Hitbil Yadav B'mei Hamayan. If you are toiva, literally, you dip your hands into the waters of a mayan, of a spring, afilu ein boy arba'im sa, also light filo. A mayan, a freshwater spring, works even if it's not a kosher mikvah, even if it is not, I should say, the shear of a kosher mikvah of memsa. Kol shemiskasein yadav b'han, as long as your hands are covered with it, bivas achas, at one time. V'im hitbilam, continues the mechaber b'mei mikvah, if you dip them into the waters of a mikvah, yesh aymer kedinin kamayam. Some say just like a mayan. Some say if it's actually a mikvah, then it needs memsa. But aktina kedivri amekel, or mekel, that it can be like a mayan, it doesn't need memsa. V'yesh lahachmer lechat chila. Says the Mishnah Bura, explaining this sif koton ayin zayin b'mei hamayan hainu b'chol meimas hanoivim, any water that sprouts, avshem nizcholim nemerachoik, even if they're coming from afar. But lamaisa, if it originates from a mayan, if it originates from a spring, then it's going to be kosher. Afilu ein boy sivkoten ayin chas the barbaim sub sheet the mahani afilu b'shar mei moshe ein noivim. Of course, if it's 40 saw, it's going to work. The chiddush over here is that even if it's not 40 saw, it's going to work. Kol shemiskases sivkoten ayin tas u'kumoil inyan tfilas kelim tekayim lo demayan mitar b'chol shu. With regard to tfilas kelim, says the shartzin over here, like the goin that he holds of sakas shulchan because the kuli amam maidim, and he holds that everyone is maida. That you could potentially be toivel keli b'mayan even when it's less than 40 saw. If what? If it complies with the rule of kol shemiskasein, if it covers the kli boy, and that's on tfilas kelim, which is a din da'araisa. V'kol shekayim b'netilas derabanan, when it comes to washing your hands, the din derabanan v'gam tfilas agov nami, as well for toiveling your body, like kamu paiskim. According to many paiskim, and our bamsa davka does not need 40 saw. Elikashir, rather, what does a mayan, what does a fresh spring need? As long as it cover your entire body. We don't pass that regarding tefillah. And what do you need? You need to cover your hand. Even though theoretically, says the Mishnah Berurah, you don't have to dip them at the same time. You could dip one and then the next. We'll get to share on mayim, the quantity of water needs. It's right to table them at the same time. If you dip your hands into mikvah which are not a fresh spring, it's gathered in one area. The waters of Gishamim, or the melting of snow, which of course the melting of snow is the rainwater. If they're very dirty, we have to get there. Shadina kemayan. Some say that the mikvah is din of a mayan, sivkot the beis, which means what? Says the Mishnah Berurah, I apologize for this unsightly line smack in the middle of your page. There you go. Shadina kemayan demidaraisa. Even if it's collected together, it works for tefillah kelim b'revius. As long as it's a small keli that it can be covered by the water. It's a din derabanan that when it comes to tefillas keli, it does not work unless it's memsa. We're not going to be machmer for din derabanan. Once the rabbanan came along and they were mivatel that you cannot do tefillah of a keli in less than 40 saw. Shavein by tefillah klal l'chol davar, quoting Taisa. We have a machlekes. What does it mean that Chazal said you can't toivel in something less than memsa? Is pshat and it was just by a keli, a din daraisa, you can't do it. But when it comes to your hands, we will allow you to do it. Or do they nullify the whole concept of tefillah pachas memsa? Paskin the Mishnah Berurah Machaber Sivkot Beidal, you could be Mekel, give your Mekel delivery safe, from what's different than Rabbanan. However, Lechatchila Sivkot Be'eav, but the evidence of Shatzchak Yesh Hakel Ayin Be'er Halacha. Before we go on to Siftes Vav, let's take a moment to look at the Dirshu over here. Says the Dirshu number 78, can you make a bracha which is only kosher? Netilas Yaadaim, meaning because it's the din d'Rabbanan, that's why we're being makel on these waters. Can you make a bracha? Says the Bir Halacha that if you wash your hands in a situation of a safek, then the halacha is it works. We're not machmir. Yochel gam levarich, and you even can make a bracha. And when we get to Siman Samach, we will discuss this more. Says the Chazoin Ish, Dirshu number 79. The kavanah of the Shulchan Aruch is not that you need water, the sheer two hands get covered at one time. Rather, if there's enough water that you can be tough them one after one, she'in sheer lemayan, it's going to be enough. So what does the Mishnah Berurah over here mean? What does the Shulchan Aruch mean? Mikol makom sarach mayim kishir shetiskas kol hayad v'vas achas, because ma'achas shaydaim inan niyos ta'ayir l'chatzayim vein tefillah l'chatzayim. So Chazon Ish over here seemingly is arguing on the words of the Mishnah Berurah, which definitely could be, happens often. The Chazon Ish is learning you do not need water to cover both hands at one time. Continuing, Dirshu note number 80, Amei mikvah psula Netilas Yaadaim in a kli. If it's not rayu to drink, this is going to be a psul, as we're going to see in Siman Kuf Samach, just like mayim suruchim, dirty waters that an animal will not drink, is going to be pasul. Now, we're going to see over there, it's going to be a discussion, it's pasul for Netilas Yaadaim. What about for Tevilas Yaadaim? The halacha there is going to be that it's going to be kosher. But we're pointing out over here, it's only going to be if it's going to be in Memsa. And let's wait for Siman Kuf Samach so we can understand this a little bit more. And we continue with Sif Tes Vav. Says the Mechaber Mei Geshamim Shein Zeichlim, rain waters that are running, piercing Shachim Volchan, they're moving. Shein Mechunasim, they're not in one place. V'yish Bahem Arba'im Sa. Yesh Lehistabek. Tovan Yadav. You see rainwater rushing down. Can you stick your hands in it? Says the Mechaber Yesh Lehistabek. Let's take this together with Sif Tes Zayin. Arba'im Sa Mayim Shuvim Shebekarka. 40 saw my. Actually, let's not say that was Sifta Zayin. Excuse me, that was a mistake. That's a new idea. Let's go to the Mishnah Berurah on Sif Tes Vav. Says the Mishnah Berurah, if we have rainwater, Sifkata Pei Vav, which is Zoichalim, the Megishamina Matarim Zoichalim, it doesn't work if it's running. Elbim Mechunasim. V'yesh Bahem, there's enough water. Sifkata Pei Zayin Rotzaloymar. Feel V'yesh Bahem Me'arba'im Saw. Even if there's 40 saw of this rainwater, still. It's still a shayla. That might only be by a mikvah where it's collected in one area. However, Racham and Atara Apostle of Netilas Yaadaim and make Sham Zeichelin Allah is midaraisa. Make Sham Zeichelin is possible. Dilu Machmir and Le'el V'Savi to be Inon. Tafkar Ba'im Sek V'Netilas Kol Agov Pshit Zeichelin Mahani. So that's why over here it's a larger suffix than the previous. Therefore, the Bechaber Paskins on Yesh Le'Stapik explains the Mishnah Berurah Sivkota Beichaz Al Kein Yachzor V'Yito B'Loi Bracha. So wash your hands without a bracha. The goyin is a machmer, it doesn't do anything at all. And we continue over here with Sif Tes Zayin, which, as we'll see in a moment, could have very common and classic applications. Arba'im sa, 40 sa mayim shuvim, 40 sa of drawn water, shebekarka, le'oram b'amid batilan sidam, it doesn't work, la'arayv in matbilim. U'she'uvim she'emshichu kula, if you have she'uvim that are drawn together, kamna rambam, he's going to be maskim matbilim em yadayim. So this is going to be called a swimming pool. You have arba'im sav mayim she'uvim in a karka. So the Rambam says nothing doing. The Ravid says it does work. Now if it's she'uvim she'emshichu kula, then we are more mekel. What exactly is going on over here? Says the Mishnah Berurah Sivkota Peitesha Bekarka. Avo Bekliya Mechubaris Lekarka. Says Mishnah Berurah, don't jump so fast. A kli attached to the ground ain't but tefillah kulei alma. Dein tovim bekelim, and that's going to be a truth is, I shouldn't say that's going to be a swimming pool. Maybe I think the Dirshu might discuss this because that might be the difference between an above ground and an in-ground pool. Above ground pool is essentially a kli that was attached to the ground, which Mr. Bru over here is saying does not work. Ayin le'al sivchas. Ein matvilin sivkot and samuch. Dina mayim achshen letfilas agof. Vatam arayvinu mishon demitzilin tfilas bali kroyin ledivrei Torah. Says the Ravid. We find with regarding Tvila of a Balkari Lidivrei Torah, meaning we paskin a Balkari Lamaisa. We're makel for Krishma Divrei Torah. But if one wanted to be Machmir, Shetvila San Midrabanon, then the halacha is the Mutter B'Shuvin Shebekarka. This, of course, is the Mar Makaim, that a swimming pool would be kosher for Tfilas Kari, as we're seeing over here, since the old Tvila is a Derabanon. If we have mayim she'uvim in the ground, we're going to be mekel. Keda'el b'sivim peichas bebeis Yosef. Sivkat et samach alav shemshicha kula ratzalaymer. Dav ma'isa kula she'uvim rak she'imshach zamayim derech ha'karka l'makam achar is drawn elsewhere than kosher b'zeh kanal b'sif zayin. So that would potentially be the makam kula on some level in some sort of swimming pool. Now, one thing to be careful about is, as we mentioned, we're going to get to Kuf Samach, in which we're going to discuss the psulim. I apologize. In which we're going to discuss the psulim of Mayim Suruchim. If a swimming pool has a lot of chlorine, that a dog wouldn't drink it, which is a high level, then that would be a separate psul. We continue with Sif Yud Zayin Lo Yital Manar Mayim Biyadei Achas V'Yitin Al Yadei Shenis. Don't take water out of the river. Pour it on the other hand. You got nothing. We'll see the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah. What does this mean? If got the samach alef, loy netila. Why? Because you don't have. Excuse me, I said it wrong. You didn't scoop up with a kli. You scooped up with your hands and you poured it on. It's no good. Why not? It says the Mishnah. If got the samach base, because you need a kli. The netila kli being bachla not a klal mea kli, and that's why it's not going to work. And we continue, and we're going to take sif yuchas yutas and chaf all together. Yodai achas minetila v'yachad achas bitfila. Yadav Tahir. So you stick one hand in, the other hand you pour on top of, it's going to be okay. Hamat bil Yadav, if you taivel your hand in, you don't have to do it 2 times. V'loy nigov, and you don't have to dry them. V'loy bi Yadav, nor do you have to pick them up. Tevila has different rules. Hamat bil Yadav zivkad al chaf. Einoi mevarach al Netilas Yaadaim, ela al Netilas Yaadaim. Even though you would think, 1 second, what's going on over here? You're being taivel your hands. So if you're being taivel your hands, why would you make the bracha of Netilas Yaadaim? Says the Machaber, even if you are toivel your hands, you still make the same bracha of Netilas Yaadaim. Says the Ramah, v'yeshem devarcha al Netilas Yaadaim, oy al shtivas Yaadaim v'chein ikar. So let's wrap up the shir with these concluding Mishnah Berurah. It says the Mishnah Berurah, Sivkot Zamach Gimel, Benetila, Pira, Shenati, Yadav Achaz Meikli, Kedin, Vasheni Tavel Benara, B'mikva, Linian Bracha, Mevarach L'zal Netilas Yaadaim. After that's the Ramah Kamani, though we're going to get to the Ramaz we just started seeing a moment ago, that the Ramah is going to allow or say you should make a bracha of Tfilas Yaadaim. In this case, it's just half and half. You make the bracha of Netilas Yaadaim, Kivin Sheyadu Achas Hayisa B'Netila. Ein Zar Shtei Ba'am Sivkot Sadi Dalid. If you're dipping your hands in, you only have to do it once. The Chol Elu Et Shicham Yishav Dinetimu Amayim Shabayal Yadav. The whole reason you have to pour multiple times is because the water becomes tummy when you pour it. K'mavur, as we'll see, as we saw, B'Sim Kuf Nanchas, and we'll see again in Sim Kuf Samach Beis. Aval B'Tfilo Lo She'er was that because the water automatically is all tar, and that's the same reason why you don't have to dry your hands. Lo Nigav Sivkot Samach Ayin Le'el B'Saif Siman Kuf Nanchas Mishnah Berurah. So now when it comes to the bracha Sivkot Samach Vav Einai Mevarich She'echas Ivanu Al Tvila, because there was no Asher Kedishano. There was no tzivoy on the tvila, and therefore says the Machaber, rather aval netila nitzavinu v'yesh b'chal masayim mana shemachos chiva netila nitzavinu on matvilu machshav. The chiv is netila. You're being yoytze. You're fulfilling your netila with tvila, but the bracha, says the Machaber, is netila. Says the Raman, Mishmur explains if got the samach zayin v'yesh oimrim that you would make the bracha v'achronim eskim g'das Machaber. Levarich al Netilas Yaadaim, says the Mishnah Berurah Rakim Amayim Psulim LeNetila. Let's say it's water which is possible for Netila. Then, says the Mishnah Berurah Rakim Letvila, it's kosher. We'll get to. That's the one case that the Mishnah Berurah Paskins Mavarich al Tvilas Yaadaim. So let's see the Dirshu over here to close out the day. Says the Dirshu note number. Let's start with 84. Says the Dirshu. that we're masking nasa b'chabri and make al netilas yadayim. The Graz, the Shulchan Aruch writes, if you're toivel yadav, you make al shtifas yadayim, then everyone holds your yaitse. Why? Because the whole reason to make al netilas yadayim is because the lashon of netila is the lashon that the Chazal were nitkan, and that's not shayech when you say matbil. However, says that the Graz in levarach al tvila. Why? Because you were in nitzaveh. But when you make the bracha of shtifa, there's a chesar because netila is called shtifa, rinsing, as well as tvila is called shtifa. So the Balatanya, the Graz paskins, that you would indeed make the bracha of al shtifas yaadaim. Finally, Dirshu number 85 says, if you're tovel yadav me hayam in the ocean, says the Prima Gadim in the name of the Al Yarab, you make al netilas yadayim. Says the Prima Gadim, what's the reason? Because me'ayam arayu for drinking. If you boil it up, you remove the salt, and therefore you make the regular bracha of al netilas yadayim. And the Dirshu here points out, tzarachiyin, if it means try for netilas yadayim the way that it is, or not lemaisa. This is the reason why kemat in all cases, if one wants to have a rule, you would make al netilas yadayim and not al tevilas yadayim. And b'siyat d'shmaya, we'll pick it up with Siman Kuf Samoch in the next shir.